Well, hello there. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I would be Bill Knight. Happy, what day is it? Thursday.
Today's
Dental
Thursday.
day for you.
Dental day for me.
I get to go to the dentist today. Dentist today.
There are no secrets on this show. Nothing is hidden. Yes, I'm going to the dentist. He's going to have a wonderful time. Anyway, a lot of things going on in our world, and it just seems that we're always in turmoil, Bill. There's always constant turmoil. The dust never seems to settle. Yesterday, there was a press conference in Texas. Governor Abbott and the Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, and Ted Cruz and the mayor of Uvalde were at this press conference to inform the families of the latest news on what was going on in the investigation into the terrible shooting the day before yesterday. In the middle of this press conference, just after the governor finishes making a statement, as he's passing the microphone over to Dan Patrick, the lieutenant governor, Beto O'Rourke, who is he's a candidate for governor in Texas, uninvited, he has entered this press conference. He jumps up and starts screaming at Governor Abbott, calling him the problem. He's the reason why these kids are dead. It's his fault, and we should have gun control. And he rambled on and on. I could play the tape. I'm sure most of you have probably heard.
I saw it.
Yep. And I don't want to give the guy the time of day. It was disgusting.
You know, what he's doing, Bill Clinton did it. Remember when he was nothing and he sat there and did that long, rambling filibuster that was forever, but it was just to get himself out there and his name known.
At the Democratic National Convention?
Exactly.
I remember that. Long speech.
You know, and everyone was going, oh, man, what an idiot, just rolling on and on. But that wasn't the point. The point was getting his face out there and getting the airtime. And also, in the art of taking somebody, let's say that you're an actor and you did something terrible, and all of a sudden your career is done. Like Johnny Depp right now in his trial.
Right.
I kind of side with him. I think that he was, as they say, wussy whipped, without saying the word. Anyway, his career is really done for right now. But when this is all over, you're going to have a mountain of crap, and it's just negativity. But it's always, you can build on that mountain. And I know from a marketing point, I had somebody that worked for me one time that had a mountain of negativity in a discriminatory lawsuit. And you know who the person is. Right. They're in Pittsburgh. And, we sat there and built upon it with positive things, all these positive stories, and what we used is the crap as the foundation.
Well, you know what they say.
I don't positive mountain.
You know what
the
they
last
say.
Thing you remember.
I don't care what you say about me. Just say something about me. And there's some truth to that, because people start
absolute truth in it.
Yeah, they start to forget. People start to forget the negativity, and they start to remember only the positivity.
It's the last thing that you said that you impress upon their mind. So you see all this negative crap that's being thrown around out there, but the end result is when they I don't know how else to say it. They're going to sit there and they're going to throw a big pile of poop out here, but the end result's going to be when they polish that turd. I hate to say that, but that's what they're going to do. They've always done it. They always will.
Beto O'Rourke he's a chameleon. He was the guy who said during his, quote, presidential campaign that he would definitely take the guns. I'm definitely coming for your guns. He said it probably better than I just said it. I'm definitely taking your guns. Then, and he said it several times, by the way, then in February of this year, when asked, well, you're running for governor now of Texas, are you still going to come after our guns? He said, oh, no, I'm not coming after it. We're not coming after anything. No, we just want people to be more responsible. This is the kind of guy we're dealing with. He will do anything and say anything to get that publicity you're talking about and get more
Right.
votes.
Do you remember when Joe, won in that landslide that he won in?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. And he was talking about all the people. And of course, he was it after he won, or was it after he got the Democratic nomination and he was running for president? But he sat there and talked to Beta. He goes, and when I'm in the White House, I'm going to put you in charge of taking away the gun.
Yes, he said that. You are the man. He put his hand on his shoulder.
So don't listen to, don't listen to the lies. You've got to sit there and go, truth, lie, truth, lie. And I'll talk about it later.
Yesterday, Biden signed an executive order that delivers, as he said, quote, the most significant police reform in decades. Now, mind you, he couldn't get any police reform through the Congress, which is the normal chain. So he decided to do it by executive order. And he said the Second Amendment is not absolute. When it was passed, you couldn't own a cannon. And the fact is, yes, you can. You could own a cannon. You could own a cannon in 1776.
And you can own one now,
77,
too.
Right.
I mean, come on.
But he says that over and over again, Bill. He must think that's a terrific point to make. He just keeps saying it, and he keeps saying the wrong thing. You could own a cannon.
Well, you know what? Yeah, there are people out there that are passionate about taking away guns. It is a small, really, number, but sometimes small numbers can have big voices if they yell loud enough. But I would guarantee that some of these voices say, take away the guns, take away those guns. They're politicians that own guns, because the laws that they are going to impose, they're exempt from.
Yesterday, Joy Behar on The View said, it is the guns that are the problem. People keep saying it's the people. People keep saying that it's mental issues. She said, no, it's the guns that are the problem. It's the guns that kill people. That's what she said. Of course, all of her little friends in the audience here just, oh, yes, great. She's an absolute idiot. This woman has been on the wrong side of issues ever since I've seen her on television, and she keeps getting a platform. But she wasn't alone yesterday. Also, who's that director? Oh, you know the guy I'm talking about, Michael Moore.
Geez,
yeah,
what an idiot.
He came out.
He's a journalist.
Oh, he came out yesterday and he said, hey, the Second Amendment, get rid of it. We don't need it. We don't need the Second Amendment. He said this yesterday, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me.
Well, here you go. They're doxing anybody that has a different point of view than them. If you're not part of their narrative, they dox you. If they don't believe in something in the Constitution or it's in their way, let's dox it. Let's just.
And then our former president, Barack Hussein Obama, not to miss an opportunity to add his 2 cents, jumped on board the bandwagon and said that it's time, only temporarily. This is not even 2 days after the tragedy in Texas. He said, put the mourning for the victims in Texas aside momentarily to remember George Floyd. Now,
is he a saint? Isn't he a saint, George Floyd?
He is. You got to remember, we're talking about 19 children, 2 teachers. The shooter's grandmother in critical condition right now with a gunshot wound to the face. They don't know whether she's going to make it. It's touch and go. And Obama's saying, put your mourning aside for them to remember George Floyd, who had fentanyl all throughout his system, who, by the way, the police officer that put his knee on his back, that was an approved move in his jurisdiction. No one talks about that. Whether you think it was a good thing or not, whether you think it was right or wrong, the fact of the matter is the move that he had on George Floyd with the knee on his back to keep him down was an approved move. Everyone's saying, oh, it was terrible. Maybe it was terrible. Maybe it's not a good thing to do, even though it's approved. But it was approved. By the way, he had fentanyl throughout his system.
Right. And I was just going to say, let me explain something here. I know there are people who said, "Oh, he would have recovered and all this stuff," but the amount of fentanyl he had in him was going to kill him.
It was.
And besides that, and I'm not going to sit there and judge the man because of the drug, but I am going to judge the man on his moral character and his code of conduct. He was a criminal, and he had warrants out there, and he was resisting arrest. And I'm sorry, and he was being pursued, and he didn't want to be apprehended. So I'm sorry.
Have you noticed, by the way, how many guys think it's okay to resist arrest now? How many quote victims of police brutality, they think that it's okay to resist arrest? When I was a kid, my dad used to say to me, if you ever get in trouble with a police officer, you be polite and you follow his instructions. Do exactly what he says, because they're under a lot of stress too. They are under a lot of stress. We don't understand this, folks. We think that, the poor victim. How would you like to be a cop? Maybe your buddy, maybe you have a buddy with you, but you're up against a guy. Floyd was not a little man. Floyd was a strong guy. And you don't know what he's got on him. You don't know what he's going to do with what he had, whether he's going to stick you, whether he's going to shoot you. You don't know what's going on. There's a lot of things happening in the mind of a police officer, too. And you may say, well, he's trained. No one's really trained for that kind of a situation when the time comes.
Well, you know where I was last week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'd be worried for my son.
I am. Yeah. He's had his 10 days of time between the academy.
Should we mention what your son's doing? Or we don't have to mention his name.
He's a state trooper. Yeah. No, we won't mention his name. Right. He's a state trooper. And, and he's got from his wife's side of the family.
Right.
There's a guy that graduated, or not graduated, but retired from the state police, an officer. He served a full career, very good friend of mine. And now, to stay busy, he's the chief of police in a small town. And I said, hey, you know what? Don't be surprised if I show up. Tell me how many people are in the office. He goes, 7. I said, great. Because I'll show up with coffee and donuts, and I'm not buying favors. I don't need favors.
Right.
I abide by the law. And you know what? If I get stopped, I don't sit there and go, well, I'm Bill Knight and my son's this and that. Here's my license, officer.
Right.
What was I doing? And if I was speeding, and I did get pulled over a while back for speeding, and I admitted to it, and guess what happened to me?
They let you go with a warning.
I got a warning because I
probably because you were polite,
and I had nothing else in my record to sit there and justify. Now, somebody might say, "Well, that's because you're white."
I don't understand, Bill.
It was a black officer that pulled me over.
Oh, I don't understand why people think that it's okay to resist. I don't understand how they think it's okay to lip off at police officers when they're doing the job. I mean, are there bad police officers? Are there wise guys? Yes, of course there are. But it's just the sheer numbers. There's going to be a guy who's giving that. That's actually more reason to be polite. That is actually more of a reason to be polite, because you don't know who you're dealing with as far as what kind of police officer he is. So if you are being polite, if you are following his rules, odds are, even if the guy has a tendency to go off, he won't go off if you're doing what he asks you to do or what he tells you to do. And remember, right. he does have a gun on his hip, and you probably don't in your car. So,
they don't want to use that gun. I can tell you right now, because they were assigned bullets, and they have to account for them. And it's not like, well, I used 7 bullets. Can I get 7 more?
No, you have to account for them.
But I need a report for each bullet. And, you're almost like Barney Fife out there anymore. Oh, hell, I'm in a situation. All right, take the bullet out of my shirt pocket. You know, They got to account for it all.
When you look back at the year before last, with all the rioting in the streets and the George Floyd situation, things like that, you have to wonder what the heck is going on in this country, because it didn't make sense. I would sit in front of my television saying, they're burning the city of Minneapolis down. They're taking over an entire park, an entire district in Seattle, Washington, and giving it to the rioters, and there are no consequences. It didn't make any sense. We're allowing people to go into Washington, D.C., almost burn down a historic church across the street from the White House. No consequences. It's okay.
Humanity has failed. And, a lady friend of mine had expounded on that, said, yeah, we've lost our moral code. Greed, money, power, self-control, we lack all of that. And, when you have that kind of stuff, only bad things occur. And that's true. Tony Robbins has a thing out there, and it's basically simple. He says, good times create weak people. Weak people create bad times. And then bad times create strong people, and strong people create, good times. So it's a vicious cycle all throughout the life. And we're in some bad times. The good news is that you that are listening are strong, and it's going to be up to us to right this ship. Now, I am going to say this is not going to be an easy ship to right, because we got a lot of bad players.
Oh, yeah.
That are out there right now.
I was thinking yesterday, when I was a kid, I had friends who would drive around town in their pickup trucks. I came from a small town in Massachusetts.
They had pickup trucks there?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, wow.
Oh, either was that or their buckboard. But
okay, because I was going to say, well, then they listened to country music, right?
But they had a rifle rack in the back of their truck, and they drove around with guns in their truck. This is back in the 60s and 70s. They had these things, and they didn't shoot anybody.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't.
By the way, I grew up in California and had pickup trucks, basically Chevys out there, because
we were Chevy people too. In Massachusetts.
Latinos out there, Chevys, and there was a good chance you had a gun rack and you had a rifle sitting back there that you probably got at Sears Roebuck or one of the department stores. It was sitting in the back.
No one shot anybody.
No.
We had yesterday on Tucker's show, he had an interview with a guy named Kelly McCann, who was a Marine Corps specialist. His specialty was security, and he's retired. And he had some interesting comments, and I'm going to play the entire interview with him and Tucker because it's worth listening to. Listen.
McCann has thought a lot about this. He's a former Marine Corps officer. He's been in the executive protection business for many years in this and many other countries, and we're happy to have him join us tonight. Kelly, thanks so much for coming on. I've heard you say this, in fact, that if someone is intent on hurting others, it's very hard to stop that person. That's not fatalism. I think it's a reflection of reality. Is that true?
That's absolutely true, Tucker. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people want to reduce this to a gun issue. It's not a gun issue. If someone is intent on hurting someone, they're going to find a way to do it, right? And some ways are more convenient, and some ways are more concealable, and some ways might be a little bit easier to pull off. But at the end of the day, if someone's intent on that, they're going to find a way. The real problem here is, why are we producing so many people in recent years that seem to want to do this?
Yes.
If you look at the historical climb, right, I mean, it just seems that these incidents, and they're anomalies, they still remain anomalies, are happening with more frequency. So it's not really a gun issue or an access issue or maybe even a psychological issue. Is it a societal issue?
So it feels to me like there are a lot of, that's the answer that nobody wants to hear. I know you don't want to say it. I don't want to hear it. But how important is it to be honest about the threat that you face? I mean, I feel like a lot of people have a vig in here. They have an interest in selling some solution that's not a solution. Why aren't more people just blunt about it?
Because we live in a politically correct society where everyone's supposed to be tolerant and everyone is supposed to be, exceptionally considerate, and no one wants to speak the hard truth. The hard truth is 67,000 public elementary schools across the nation, 2 $2.5 billion to assign a resource officer to each one of them, generally speaking. And in a lot of cases, in fact, this shooter was confronted by 2 school district employed police officers. They didn't get into a firearms engagement. So that may be not an answer, okay? Usually in a physical security situation, it's a human breakdown, right? So the back door, there's a question. How did he get in the back door? Was it left open because someone went out to vape or smoke? Was it left open after recess? Look, these protocols make people complacent because in the vast majority of schools across the country, there will never be a school shooting. Okay, they are true anomalies, and it's exceptionally difficult to protect effectively against an anomaly. Most people won't spend the money, they lose interest, they get bored until the next one. And then we hear platitudes and a lot of other things that don't make sense.
That's exactly right. Maybe we should take a close look at what's happening to young men in our society. Maybe we should care about that. I hope that spurs that conversation. Kelly McCann, we're going to see you again soon. I appreciate your coming on. Thank you.
Guy made some good points. That's on Tucker Carlson's show last night. For retired Marine Kelly McCann, a specialist in security.
Tucker just said something at the end.
Oh, he hit it.
Because you're sitting there going, okay, all these young, angry guys are committing the crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Women aren't. Well, why is that? What is going on with these guys? Is there something that is making them turn that way?
There's no excuse for what they do, but here's some points that were made. In the recent shootings, the Buffalo shooting and this shooting here, they lived in a fatherless home. The one in Uvalde, the kid was bullied because apparently he had either a speech impediment or something, but they made he was picked on, which is not a reason for doing anything like this because other kids are picked on and they just bounce back and get on with their lives. They deal with it.
Our president was picked on and had a speech impediment. Seriously, that's what he claims.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the popcorn story and everything else. Look, you know what? We hear excuses. We hear narratives that fit an agenda. And I don't like what I see in the news, and what happened is tragic. But the way they purport it is that it is a big, massive problem that we have. There's shootings going on everywhere. It is the news because of how the news is delivered and because they play it over and over and over again. They take a big, long clip and they boil it down to this tiny little rock and they shove it down our throats.
Absolutely.
And say how terrible it is. You're getting a distorted view of life. And I would almost venture to say, forget the 6 o'clock news, forget CNN, forget MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, because they're all trash. They're propaganda machines in the land of the free and the brave. Imagine that. We have propaganda.
I listened to what Joe Scarborough said yesterday. He's got to be the biggest fathead in television news. He made himself out to be a conservative when he was a representative. I don't know whether you remember this or not, but he was on Fox. He had his own show for a while on Fox News Channel when he left the House of Representatives. And he tried to be Mr. Conservative. And it didn't quite catch on, so they canceled the show. MSNBC picked him up, and along comes a show called Morning Joe, and they pair him with Mika Brzezinski. It was a pairing that was made in heaven because apparently it was so successful that they ended up getting married. He divorced his wife and married Mika Brzezinski, and they now work together. They're buddies. But in the process, he goes from being this conservative to being this ultra-left liberal fathead that he is today. Nothing that he says seems to make any sense or seems to be terribly truthful. I sit there and I watch him. I think, we don't really know our politicians. We really, really don't, because I can remember when he was a congressman, I kind of liked him. I thought, well, he seems like a decent guy from Ohio. He seems like he has some good values. And he ends up being this nutcase on television, and they do it just for popularity, notoriety, and money. They really do.
Money, greed, power, deceit.
That's it. And you have to look at the guys who are in Congress now and wonder, are they being straight with us? Are we getting the true image? You know, is what they're saying to us the real thing? I'll give you an example. I like Darrell Issa. From California. And where is he right now? He's in Davos, Switzerland, with all of those elites discussing how to make the world a better place. Now, he's a U.S. congressman. I would be willing to bet that he should be in the Capitol. He should be in Washington, D.C., doing his job for his constituents. Why the hell is he in Davos?
Money, greed, power, deceit. Now, that is the bed right there of all the evil. And they're having a meeting on how they can get more money, be more greedy, have more power, and be more deceitful. That's what they're doing.
They have control of the WHO.
Yeah, and we gave, we gave away the right that the WHO, which is run by who?
China.
Yes. I forget. How soon we forget. And they have the right to lock down America over COVID.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that COVID is not real. I know it is real. Now, I'm not going to get into all the details, but it was manufactured. We know that. That has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. And we had a dirty hand in that. And it was a tool to lock everybody down, even Democrats that are going, yeah, I'm a loyal Democrat. But they agree that the lockdown really wasn't the most necessary thing. But they dictated to us what to do. Now you have a foreign entity that can sit there and control us, and that is unconstitutional.
They can do now the things that the CDC only could recommend. The CDC could say, we recommend a lockdown, we recommend social distancing, and then the president and his group would say, we're going into lockdown. Now, apparently, with the World Health Organization, they can say, the United States will go into lockdown because of this.
And we have to.
And we have to.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let's just say that you are a person of standing, political influence, political power. You're on a plane, you touch down in Naples, and all of a sudden the WHO comes up and they determine that you have COVID, you're a carrier. Then they could take you right away and lock you up, right?
Probably.
They could sit there, they could use it as a means to
a weapon, a political weapon. They could use it. Yeah, they could use it as a political weapon. We could talk forever about this stuff, and we will tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow. That is assuming that my dentist doesn't pull my face apart.
Oh, don't worry. As long as you've got the money.
You ever notice that when you go to the dentist and he shows you the needle actually, the longer you look at it, the longer the needle seems to get.
That's why I close my eyes.
Really, do?
Yeah, I'm going, gas me. Gas me. And then this fat guy walked in. I was going, no. I'm kidding.
You're a sick unit. Hey, friends, that is going to do it for us. I hope you have a great day, and with a little bit of luck, we'll do it again tomorrow.
Yes, we will, if you can talk.
Smart guy. Smart guy.
Guys like me, who needs friends?